Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Grant Cameron, and I want to welcome you and thank you for taking time from your valuable schedule to join me today. My guest today is Nate Zeleznick, and I'm joined by my assistant as well, Sinead Wellahan, and we are going to be discussing Nate's company, which is called Vibravision. I first became aware of this. Sinead and I did an interview with Nicola Farmer in Great Britain, who is training children to see with blindfolds on. And because I have done a book called Contact Modalities, I was aware that there is a secondary sight and hearing center in the body, because people, when they have near-death experiences, can still see even though their brain is flatlined and their eyes are closed. So I was very interested in this whole phenomena of people being able to see without using their eyes. I had watched this for years because the CIA had actually done studies of Chinese children in the 1980s, where the claim was that these children were seeing with blindfolds on. I knew that there was a girl in India who had done it. We did the interview in the United Kingdom. And then I was told that there's this company called Vibravision in Utah, Ogden, Utah, where they are doing it. And when I saw the videos that they were doing, I knew I had to get Nate onto my show and talk to him about this. The company does a bunch of things. They do meditation, they do extrasensory development, they do martial arts, and they do blindness, working with blind people, and have actually got a number of blind people who can actually now move around and can see. So this is what I would call Nobel Prize winning stuff. If it were a fair world, this kind of research that is being done in Utah would be Nobel Prize. Unfortunately, it's not a fair world, and a lot of people have yet to learn about this process. So I want to welcome Nate to the interview and thank him for taking time. And so I want to welcome Nate together to join us here. And hi, he's from Utah, and I heard about the Utah group through a bunch of people. They said, well, this stuff's being done in Utah, and they're doing all sorts of other stuff. So Nate, basically you're with Vibravision, and can you tell me what this is all about for the people who aren't familiar with this? And where it came from, and what might be the importance of what we're looking at here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Grant and Sinead. I appreciate being here. So first of all, everybody out there, my name is Nate Zeleznick, and I am the founding director of the Vibravision Foundation for the Blind, as well as the owner of the Vibravision LLC company, which offers immersive events as well as weekly training here in Ogden, Utah, and also the MP USA Martial Arts Academy and Meditation Academy. So the way that I get started, I mean, this is probably the very best way for me to introduce this, is how it came to be here and why. So in 1998, I received a VHS tape from Indonesia. It was an Indonesian news broadcast showing people doing amazing martial arts. And I've been involved in martial arts for a long time. My younger brother, Mike, who is my co-founder and my best friend, he has numerous black belts in different systems. And so we'd already been, we were very into the martial arts ever since we were little kids and wanted to be ninjas. And then saw Star Wars and wanted to be Jedis. Well, we got this VHS tape and it showed Indonesian martial arts, but one demonstration really stood out from everything else, and that was people who were blindfolded or blind running through obstacle courses, riding bicycles around people and other obstacles, riding motorcycles through Jakarta's traffic, special forces and other military soldiers shooting targets with a gun, as well as blind people who were able to read print and draw things that had been drawn on a whiteboard and copy what they were for government officials on this broadcast. Well, it was all in the Indonesian language, so we didn't understand anything about it, but it was really cool. So, I mean, you see something like that, you first of all, in America, or the Western world, you think it's fake. Second of all, you have to watch it a couple times because it was just cool. Well, the very next day, I was stopped at a stoplight next to the Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind. And there was a blind individual with their guide dog. And the guide dog went around the light pole and forehead went right into the light pole. And I was struck with, I guess you would call it a divine inspiration, a divine question. I wonder if those Indonesian people can help blind people. So this is in the earlier days of the internet. So I had to go to the county library to look up who did this, who those people were. And it took me about 2 weeks every day to find out who these people were. And I finally was able to track them down. And it's the Merpati Putih, or the White Dove martial arts system from the Indonesian royal family of Central Java. And it turns out that they had trained many, like thousands of blind people. They had a blind foundation for blind people to learn this. And their most elite special forces use this to this day for search and rescue, in live fire operations, in place of night vision, or to be able to have non-local function at a special forces soldier level. And the breath work, the meditation, the martial arts ability that is not required for Vibravision, by the way, but all of this incorporated was the most comprehensive energy and martial arts and mental system I'd ever heard of. And I'd been involved in the meditation space for a long, long time. So I was so drawn by the demonstrations and by the people that I had been able to converse with, the people that did know English there, that I had to sponsor them to come over here and give a demonstration because number one, I wanted to see it for myself. Second of all, I'm like, well, what you were talking about, Grant, Nobel Prize material here. I've always wanted to make a difference in the lives, not just of my family and my closest people, but everybody. It's just, I've always been that kind of person that just, I see a need and I want to fill it. I want to help. I just, that's something that feels good to me in my heart. And I thought, you know, this is out there. This is so woo woo, but if it can help, I everything I can to do this. So I brought them here, and we did demonstrations for the Utah Schools for the Deaf and the Blind, and that wasn't really their avenue. They looked at it as we don't think that that's for us. But I also we got onto numerous television news programs where they were filming it and broadcasting it, and then I was fortunate enough to go to the Indonesian embassy in Washington, D.C., where they did a demonstration for the ambassador and the Indonesian community there. And I was allowed, as the very first ever non-Indonesian, to learn this system. My brother followed me a couple of weeks later, and it turns out there were only 3 instructors in the system in the United States that were authorized to teach it. One worked at the embassy in Washington. That commute was going to kill me. I couldn't do that from Utah. The second one was in LA at the Consulate General's office. Again, the commute was a little bit too much, right? To train several times a week. The third one just happened to be getting his postdoctoral master's degree at the University of Utah, about 40 miles away from me. So he was a former trainer for the Indonesian Special Forces in the physical fitness and the energy work and the meditation disciplines, not the Vibravision. Well, we were put on a very accelerated regimen of training. And we went through every single rank in half the time that anybody in Indonesia is allowed to. But it was such a driving force for us to listen. They've never allowed a non-Indonesian to learn this, and over 1 million people have done it over there. Well, that's not something that I could really look straight in the face and say, nah, I just want to eat McDonald's. No, this is something that just, it drew me so intently to this mission. And, you know, in 2001, we brought the 11th generation royal heirs of this system to Utah to test us, initiate us, and inaugurate our school as the first ever outside branch of the Merpati Putih martial arts. But we weren't allowed to train people in Vibravision. That would come later. And when we went to Indonesia several times for long training trips and sabbaticals to be able to learn more, to be able to advance our rank, because we couldn't do that here. We had to go there to do it. And when it comes down to it, our mission is to redefine blindness as we see it, and to help redefine the understanding of functional human consciousness, not just for the blind community, but also for the mind community, the people that they realize that what we see and our five senses are not the only things that we can perceive with. And to that end, what we've done is, over the past 5 years with a pilot project, after refining these techniques, we've been able to get the support and endorsement of the president of the Utah Association of Naturopathic Physicians, numerous optometrists, people who were ophthalmic researchers for Johns Hopkins, or former. One of the most respected neuroscientists in the planet has brain mapped our people, and he's just absolutely floored. He's never seen anything like it after 20 something years. And so also the blind community. So we have a team of 5 blind people in Phoenix, Arizona that have come up just for like weekend training here in Utah to help develop this skill. And so we're right now poised to really unveil this, but it's like the wonderful Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, that it's now a time in history where it's not enough to know. It's time to know how. How does this work? Because this is not something that is just for blind people. It's not just for sighted people. It's not just for people that want to do something that's cool. This is something that has the promise of elevating our understanding of consciousness in the larger picture. And so I hope that answers your question, Grant, as far as what we're doing, who we are, what we're doing in the world, and how we got here, because we're now in a different era of humanity than we have ever been before. And the science, quantum physics, and the quantum modalities that are out there are the largest branches of science that there have ever been, and they're always discovering more things. And dealing with the quantum, we will never find an end because it's everything. So I hope that answers.
Hopefully you'll let me put a couple of videos in there, because some of the stuff you do is, and the ones that amaze me the most are the one with the kid with the cards. We give him the deck of cards and he's sorting them into suits.
Okay, so Colton's going to separate these out into suits. So every stack is going to be a different diamond, heart, spade, or club. You go, Woody. Ready? On your mark. Get set, go!
And the one where the girl goes through the obstacle course, where she's writing on the board and she's counting money and she's picking up coins and running across the different colors and stuff like that. It's dramatic.
On your mark, get set, go! What's it say?
Poppy and muffin? I think? Cupcake? Whatever you want to call it. Oh, no.
Very good.
Nice job.
Shooting. Your first target's going to be blue.
Jack of spades, 8 of clubs, 10 of diamonds, 5 of hearts.
Give me a nickel.
Which ones are nickels? Those are the like medium looking ones. 1855. So
What was it, Dick?
1855. So 10, 5, 1, 2, 3.
Fine.
149.
So when people see this, describe what you do for the eyes, because of course everybody looks at it and says, well, now they're peeking. And so describe the precautions you take to show that they actually are not seeing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. That is one of the first things that people look at and they go, like I did when I first saw it, BS. Can't be. You know, David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear. It's got to be an illusion. It's got to be a trick. And there are mentalists out there that do unbelievable blindfolded acts. So what we decided we were going to do is we were going to use the same blindfold that they use at blind schools to teach people who are going blind to have zero light perception, so that when they're learning their non-visual skills, they're not cheating, because that can be very dangerous for somebody who's losing their sight. If they like this and then trip off a curb and break their arm, and that does happen for people who do not go through the vocational rehab and orientation and mobility for blindness properly. That can happen, and it has happened. So it's called the Mindfold, and it's the same one that's used, I believe, by the people in Britain as well. I've seen it on their documentaries, and it blocks out all light. But we wanted to go a step further, and so in many of our experiments, what we do, or not experiments, but the demonstrations and training, is we use ocular bandages, not band-aids, but they're actually ocular bandages that go over and cover the entire eye socket, adhesed, and then put the Mindfold on top of that. And then we make sure that people can check there's nothing in their ears, they're not getting any kind of auditory prompt, that this is what you're seeing is what you're getting. And maybe you're not ready to wrap your mind around it, but it is what you are seeing. And, you know, that's how we make sure to do this. Or sometimes we'll have them train in pitch black, like they do with the special forces in Indonesia. I know people in the Indonesian special forces, and I've had this verified by their commanders. They skydive in the middle of the night with hoods on, and they have to pull at the right altitude, land, find a Jeep, find the key that's hidden somewhere. They have to detect it, get in the Jeep, drive through the jungle to a beach. Then they have to go to a little house, and then they have to find a key that's buried in the sand. So you have to detect where it is, and then they have to go inside the house, and they have to go inside, and there's an envelope in there, and they have to read what's inside that envelope without opening it, all while their commanding officers are watching them to make sure they're really actually doing it. I mean, that is a different level of holy crap. But they are professional soldiers, and that is what they do for a living. They train every single day. And, you know, it's a big, you know, you were mentioning the CIA. It's truly a dream of ours as well, not just for the blind community, but for our armed forces and for our operatives in the government to be able to help them with this skill as well. So if there's anybody out there that's watching this that would be interested, this is a reproducible method, and people get it to varying degrees. But anybody who trains on this, and I mean 100%, nobody will ever deny that they have not had their perception and their health changed in a positive way, even after just a week.
So you were trained to do it. What are they actually seeing? Like, if you've done it, so what are they actually seeing, like a real 3D sort of thing with colors and stuff like that?
No, that's a wonderful question. I'm going to give you it depends. Some people feel it through skin sensation, kind of like with Braille. They can read, and some people can read Braille very fast. They just go through, and it's quick. They're reading because they've trained their skin how to sense that. Some people see it in their mind's eye, like their mental screen, and they might see it as clearly as you or I see each other right now. Other people, it's an intuitive knowing, but they refine it to such a point that their intuitive understanding can be separated from their conscious thoughts, which might, be imagination. But it all does start with imagination, in fact, with the training.
Wow.
And it is such a unique proprietary system. There's nothing like this in the world. Even the other ones that you see, a lot of them would only ever train children, because children's minds haven't been told no and form those neural patterns and pathways that say you can't do this, even if it's just by association and observation, that, oh, nobody else can do that. So what if all the kids saw people floating? How would we be able to do that? I don't know. But with where this really he explained is when throwing a ball at one of our students, he and his father, well, two of our demonstrators, I asked him, what do you see? And he said, it's just like I'm looking at you right now. I see that ball coming right at me, and I could use the lightsaber or the baseball bat, and I hit the ball, or the bean bags, or whatever we're throwing at them. And I asked the other one, what do you see? And he's like, for me, it's like I'm the ball. I see myself getting closer and where I'm coming from the ball's perspective, and then I hit it. And I'm like, well, how do you nail that one down and say, yes, there's congruency, but their abilities are congruent? So that's what's neat about the system that we teach, is it really goes after people's primary learning modality for this particular skill and helps accentuate the way that that person learns best.
Yeah, I noticed Dave is your main guy, and he's always using his hand. You can see he's got his hand up, and he's so there, and it leads to a question that you brought up about jumping at night. Are these people able to see in the dark? So if you were to say have the kids sorting cards, could you turn off the lights and he could still sort the thing, or does he need the lights on?
Sure. Well, I've not done the card sorting one in the pitch black, but I have had Dave and his son and our other people. I hide something in the room and then turn off the light. They have to turn around, right? And so I put something out there somewhere, and then all the lights are off. And then I try to record with my night vision, but it doesn't work very well because it is pitch black. And then they go and just walk right over underneath the chairs, reach and find the thing and bring it back. And then in a lot of cases, I ask them, what did I hide? Or yeah, that's another skill, is differentiating materials. And they've actually done demonstrations at the Jakarta Nuclear Institute where Vibravision masters were able to detect where radioactive substances were in the building and go find them, tell them which one was the most radioactive, all under the supervision of the scientists there.
Yeah, it's almost like it's unlimited. I noticed like the one time Dave was doing it, and I saw the kid in Great Britain do it, where the guy said, I'm going to draw something here and I'm going to show it to you. And then the girl goes, oh, it's a car. And he said, I haven't showed it to you yet. And I noticed Dave doing the same thing in one of the demos with the optometrist, where he's there and he's reading the squares, the circles, that sort of stuff, but he's got the thing backwards and he's reading it, and the paper's facing the other way. So they do have this ability to like see beyond the normal vision, where they can see things that you normally wouldn't be able to see.
Correct. Not everybody does. Some people develop that skill and they really hone it. Some people want to be marathoners, other people want to be sprinters. So it really depends on what they specialize and what they focus on. But Dave he's unbelievable. All of our 4 main demonstrators, they can do pretty much anything you or I can do with our eyesight, and then a heck of a lot more beyond that. And so it'd be really neat to create like a blindfolded Ninja Warrior type of competition once this gains enough traction to do that, because we do obstacle courses all the time and they have a blast.
Yeah, the obstacle course, that's just amazing. Or when you see them running around the store where they're shopping in the store, Dave and all the people, they're doing the shopping, and it's like if you realize that this is for real, you go like, the potential of this says that there's something here we know. So you mentioned the neurologists. What do the neurologists say? Because when I did the contact modalities, I did the neurology of people who pray, who do channeling, who do medium, stuff like that, and they have particular brain patterns. So what did the neurologists say when they put the people who are doing the Vibravision thing?
Okay, that's a very good question. So we actually had one of the top neuroscientists who specializes in quantitative EEG brain mapping come to here to Utah twice. Once last July and then once again in December, actually mid-December, right before Christmas. And he's got, you know, the cap with all the brain monitor. I don't know what you call them, sensors, not electrodes. They're not electrodes, the sensors. And to me, it just looks like a bunch of squiggles across the screen. Now, I'm okay with like an EKG for the heart. I could tell if it goes like this, they dead.
Yeah.
As far as 24 electrodes going like this across the screen, I'm not quite sure, but he was absolutely floored looking at it. He's like pointing at the screen repeatedly as they're going through different things like, where is the pole? Okay, point. And now let's monitor their brain waves while they're pointing and detecting that object. What about where is the color and what color is that beanbag? What about when they're reading print? And actually, I don't have the book here, but I had the 3 books that we had them reading that right here, but I took them back to our martial arts academy.
Anakin has almost reached the top of the castle wall when battled droids on flying machines start to attack. Anakin thinks quickly. He jumps onto one of the machines as it flies past.
What machine was that?
STAP, STAPs. The flying machines that are called STAPs, they have blaster cannons on the front. And he's riding one right there. Anakin kicks the droid off his flying machine. Now he attacks the other droids. And they're like flying and pew-pewing.
But going through the different things that he was just going, I've never seen anything like this in 23 years. And he's done over 4,000 brain scans for some of the most well-renowned meditation teachers in the entire world. And it's truly something where he just went, I've never seen anything like this before. And that's saying something with 4,000 previous studies that I've never seen this before. Although he did see one at a Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced retreat that somebody there had it, and Dr. Joe waved and the person waved back. This is in one of Dr. Joe's books. And then Dr. Joe got the neuroscience and said, hey, look at this, waved, and she went like this and waved because they were behind her and she had her blindfolded in the room. And he's like, get her, I want to map her brain. And so he did happen to see this one time before, but hadn't seen this in a place where somebody had not just spontaneously gotten it. Well, you can't rely on spontaneous learning if you want to have something that's going to help the entire population. But when you have a methodology that takes people from point A to point holy crap in a certain amount of time with the exercises, well, then you've got something.
Wow. One more question, then Sinead has a question. Dave mentions the fact that he does 2 hours of meditation a day. Is that make it better? Is that part of the process?
Yes. Well, like I said, with children, well, I didn't say, but with children, they tend to pick it up a bit faster than adults. Also, blind people, when they have regular training, which we haven't been able to do with our Phoenix, Arizona crew because they're so far away. So we give them the tools to go back and practice, go back and practice. And sometimes my brother Mike will fly down there to train all of them as well. But when it comes down to meditation, Dave was involved in our meditation classes and energy building classes before he got into the Vibravision. So he'd already been building the energy in his body and working on his mental focus. And then he got into this and he just took off like a rocket. But Dave does the 2 hours of meditation, not just for the Vibravision, but for his health, which we know when you meditate, you can produce so many healing hormones and chemicals in your body. And Dave is just extremely interested in staying healthy. And so he does it for both reasons, health as well as perception.
Put these guys on, and we definitely want you to inspect them, make sure that they're fully sealed, everything is down. And then, have you ever seen one of these? It's a memory foam blindfold.
Oh, that's nice.
And so, completely blocks out all the light. That's
You
what they sell them
yeah,
as.
you
when
could try it.
We double
See?
blinded.
Sure,
it,
why
make sure
not?
they're all good.
Oh, looks dark to me.
Yeah.
You're awesome, buddy. Okay, well, Dave, here you go.
Yeah, push on everything. Okay. Blindfold on top.
Hey, Dr. Master, could I ask you to come over here? You get to be the, I don't want to say lovely, I say.
Which one's that?
So that way it's completely random, we have nothing to do with it.
Blue?
Yes.
Yellow?
Yes.
Blue?
Yes.
Orange?
Yep.
Orange again?
Yep.
2 in a row.
Green? Red?
Yes.
Yellow?
Yes.
You're supposed to do those ones too.
Red?
Okay. Yep.
And green?
Yep.
Yellow?
Yep.
Green?
Yes.
Red?
Yep.
Orange?
Yep.
And blue.
Awesome. 15 out of
Wow.
15.
Yeah, he's an amazing character. Sinead, go ahead.
Thank you. So Nate, this is really fascinating. And so we're just so, Grant, thank you for initiating this because I'm enthralled. I'm curious to hear more about the connection between the approach you're using and martial arts. And my reason for that is because I'm not a martial arts practitioner, but I know that mental acuity, instinct, and circumferential awareness are very important with martial arts. So I'm curious about the techniques and methods of mindset in martial arts and how they've transferred over to the work you're doing. Can you talk a bit about that?
Very good question, Sinead. Thank you. Okay, so to talk about that is to talk about the Merpati system and how it's different than pretty much any other martial arts system in the world. It is not like it's not like Kung Fu or Karate or Taekwondo or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or anything else that you've ever seen. There are 5 different aspects in the Merpati system. The first one is martial arts forms. Okay, so we're gonna do like a kata, right? So it's performance. Second one is combat, so actual fighting. The third one is internal energy generation. So I'm gonna go off on a tangent and I will be right back. But as Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, when you take salt and protein and suspend it in a fluid and then you accelerate that fluid, you get what's called an inductance field. So with Dr. Joe, he does it through the spinal column, through the cerebrospinal fluid to affect the pineal gland and the metabolites that come out of the pineal gland. With us, ours has to do with strong, powerful breath techniques and body postures, where we actually do that with the 60,000 miles of blood vessels that we have in our body. So we have a greater inductance field around and inside the body for energy and for health. So when we do this, we use it to protect ourselves from injury. So if we get hit, not get hurt, but also break hard objects. So we've all seen karate people, breaking bricks and boards. But when I first saw people breaking huge stacks of steel bars, I just went, wait a minute, what? Or stone with their head from this far away, bang, just breaking stones this thick from this far away, sometimes without even touching things, and boom, and they break. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. We are electrical beings. Everything is energy, right? We know that. But the fourth aspect is healing, internal healing for ourselves, but then also taking this energy that we are and transferring it to another person to help balance their system. So rather than Reiki, which is like a channeling, we are the generator. We are the warehouse. We are the storage facility of the energy. I'm going to give some to you because I can always go build more quickly too. And the fifth one is the Vibravision aspect. So it all ties in together. Now, what we're doing is so unique because in Indonesia, I'll tell you the way this has worked is this was a closely guarded secret in the Indonesian royal family until 1963. In 1963, big political and civil unrest. There was a movie called The Year of Living Dangerously about the hundreds of thousands of Indonesians were killed by the military. And so it was released to them, to the public, to help them be stronger, find more inner peace, be able to meditate, but also defend themselves. Well, until Mike and I came along, they'd not allowed a Western or a non-Indonesian to learn it. But we were only allowed to teach all four modalities, not Vibravision, in our school until we learned the Vibravision, and then we started working more on this. But now we're doing something that's a little bit different, because if you train in the martial art in Indonesia, you have to train for usually 2 to 5 years before they'll show you any Vibravision skills at all. So you've built up enough energy. You have enough energy awareness, and also to help protect the secret, because if somebody's trained hardcore for 3 or 4 or 5 years, there's a really good opportunity or chance that they will be very loyal to the system and not denigrate, or they will not hybridize it with something else and keep the system a pure traditional art. Well, our mission is to help the blind people, first and foremost, the blind people of this country, and low vision as well. So it's not just people who are fully blind. This can be people who are losing their sight to macular degeneration or retinitis pigmentosa, whatever it may be, to help them in their quest to be more free. Now, blind people in Indonesia, they don't learn any martial arts. They don't need it. So they just go right to the Vibravision. But if you have sight at all, you have to train in the martial arts before they show you any Vibravision. No, we're doing this. We're getting the best of both worlds. So we offer immersion classes where, let's say the two of you wanted to come here in August. You would come in, we would have 5 solid days, 12 hours a day of training, theory, understanding this, so that, like, if you were going to work out at the gym, well, let's say you had a gym at home, but you didn't know how to use that equipment. Well, you would go to a personal trainer. You would learn how to use your equipment. But if you want to be able to bench press 400 pounds, it's not going to happen in a week. It's going to take a lot of practice over time. But now you have a gym at home and you know how to use it. And so you know how to use it properly, and you can get there and work that. And we have a lot of supplemental material to help people be able to do that at home. So how that works as far as the integration or the combination of the martial arts is, up until just a couple of years ago, it was required for sighted people to learn the martial art first and go through all the tests. And it is, I've been through a lot of martial arts training. There is no training like this in the world. As far as difficulty and mental toughness that's required, it's unique. It is truly unique. But that's not going to benefit the masses. That's really not going to benefit everybody, because it takes a certain mindset and a certain desire to want to do that stuff to get over here. So we decided to open this up where people can improve their perception, improve their life, and improve themselves in the way that works best for them. If they're a person that doesn't want to do martial arts, well, why deny them that ability to learn this skill? So this is a pretty recent thing for us to actually open it up there. So they're separate, they're together. It's a person's choice.
So you need the energy to do the Vibravision, the vision thing. In the 1 week course, are most people able then to sort of go on their own, or do you need further? How far do they get, say, in 5 days in terms of their abilities?
Sure, that's great. Great question. So it really depends on the person. First of all, I need to preface everything that I say with, because some people, they just maybe they're too analytical, or maybe there's something, a psychological block, maybe there's some kind of a physical issue that is not going to allow them to really develop this. You never know till you try. This is one of those things where you just don't know until you try. But even if you don't develop the Vibravision, you will be a stronger and healthier and more internally knowledgeable person from your experience and from the techniques that you can take home, whether you develop that skill or not. So with that in mind, this last immersion that we did in November 2019, we saw, well, first of all, the one blind participant did better than everybody else. She a rock star. I mean, as far as we start off, first of all, with detecting where something is in your spatial relations. So we use skin sensitivity, we use intuitive sight, we use pineal sight, we use different exercises to help people be able to find a beanbag on the floor. Now, If you have a beanbag spread out somewhere, a beanbag this big, somewhere out here in front of you, and you're able to reliably hear, it's here, it's here, it's here, over here, with accuracy that's 80, 90, 100%, that's a big confidence boost, right? But then we start doing PVC poles that are vertical. So people are standing up and they're, where is it in 360 degrees? And we've seen such amazing progress on that. Now, as far as Dave and Colton and TJ and Angie and the people that can do this very well, that requires time. It requires energy building. And I right now, actually, I put it on pause so that I have the RAM, but I am rendering videos that will go into our private online training portal that allow people to train and build that energy at home with us, with my brother Mike and I, and continue on in their gym to keep building that energy. And as their energy and as their focus increases, their perception increases as well. And so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And you've gone online now with the virus thing. I think you're going to now do some online. Can you tell me about what that's all about? Because I was actually pretty interested. I always thought maybe I'd like to, because I'm more interested in what's going on. But when you go through the training, then you start to understand, you know, what's behind this, because it's so fascinating when you see what you can do with this.
Sure. Yes. Well, with COVID-19 has really, obviously, everybody knows, it's put the world into a totally different place. A kind of a tailspin where we're having to reinvent ourselves in a lot of ways. And for martial arts schools, especially, martial arts is a contact sport. It is something that requires proximity to other people, but necessity is the mother of invention, as the saying goes. And so the necessity for us to take our classes online forced us into the position where we were inventing a way to reach more people and help more people with what we do. And so we have the M-B-S Recharge Facebook page. So MBS Recharge, Mind, Body, Spirit Recharge. And in these classes, first of all, you go there and you get a 50-minute workout with me. We're going to do cardio, we'll sweat, we're going to stretch, we're going to learn how to really open up our chest muscles, open up our sensitivity to energy, then start to feel our energy, start to put it into our body, and then a nice meditation, a heart-centered meditation at the end. So it's a really unique exercise program. It's free. Everybody, I encourage everybody to do it, because COVID attacks the lungs. This is a breath work class to help you strengthen your lungs. And
just to jump in, I did it. I just about died the first time I did it. It's like unbelievable.
It's amazing how sometimes you have to feel like you're going to die in order to improve your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Merpati Putti. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it, like anything else, it gets better with time.
Yeah.
And so when people go there and they do the 50-minute workout with me, then they have the option to sign up for one of our MBS Recharge classes with my trainers who do that from remote locations. And we go vertical, really, in those different classes, which are just $20 a piece. You jump on in, you have an experience that you've never had before energy-wise, and feel fantastic at the end of it. And then we have mind, we have body, we have spirit, and we have balance classes. So each one is going to focus on a different area that people want to focus on. And so that's our MBS Recharge. And it does, we also hold classes for people who are local in the Ogden area. Of course, that's where the full training comes in, because Merpati Putti is one of those things where when we get the full breath exercises, it needs to be under proper supervision for safety.
Okay.
Not as much for Vibravision, it's much more gentle.
Excellent. So we'll provide the links. If you provide me the links for that, I would like to put the links, because for sure I'd like to do some of that too, because I'm just so fascinated with what you've done. When I looked at the British stuff, you mentioned the thing with the kids. I guess you can comment, like, how do you differ? How do you do? Because of course the idea is that the kid's left brain is not in gear and he doesn't question and all this kind of stuff. Whereas you doing adults, that's where it came across to me, is they said, oh no, they're doing adults. No, they're doing adults in Utah. And then I saw the video, and you can confirm, is this yours? The kid with the ping pong. I said, man, you see this kid playing ping pong? Was that your kid? Somebody's, I don't know where that's coming from, but I was just blown away with that. And I said, well, you know, if they can do adults, well then, there's so much potential that you guys seem to have one up that it's almost like you understand the system, but you're taught it by the Indonesians. That if you understand how it actually works, you can move it into other areas. The British reported that people's eyesight improves. Do you have that sort of thing? And the thing about the hearing, I'm kind of interested in the hearing. Do you have these examples of the hearing where people's hearing improves in terms of what they can hear?
Sure. So let me go ahead. I'll first of all touch upon the eyesight. One of the people who actually helped bring Merpati Putih and Vibravision to the United States, his name is Irzal Chaniago, and he was the CEO and the head of the Vibravision Foundation, well, the Center for Vibration in Indonesia. He's my first contact, one of my longest time friends. And he had very thick glasses, very bad eyesight. I didn't know this except for he told me where they were like the Coke bottle glasses, right? That are really strong prescription. And he never used glasses at all. And I asked him, Irzal, why don't you wear your glasses? And he's like, I don't need to after this practice. So he used it to reverse his sight loss. Is that a common thing? No, we don't really focus upon that a whole bunch, but it is possible. Everything is possible. That's one thing that I'm learning. I know nothing, and nothing is impossible. And so as far as hearing, we do have techniques for distance hearing as well, but it's not something that we have brought to the hearing impaired community. That was like Vibravision. They had Vibra Hearing. It was a pilot project by one of the 11th generation heirs who brought Vibravision to the blind community, but then unfortunately he was killed in a traffic accident back in 2002. And so he was working on it, but he never wrote it down or he never taught anybody. He couldn't get it there, but it was catching sound waves, because sound is just another energy, just like light is an energy. It's waves. So,
well, Sinead has a question.
Yeah, on that one.
Thanks, Grant. Nate, I'm curious about, I mean, there are these incredible results that you're observing within the context of what you're doing within your program, and people come in and you go through these processes with them. I'm curious what you're hearing from the participants in the program, the students, what they're experiencing outside of that context as a result of doing this training with you. What else is happening to just their life in general that is changing them, changing their experience, the way they interact with the world? What are you hearing from them?
For sure. Well, every single person has a different experience, but that is one thing that is really important in our training is tell me a story. So at the start of the different classes, my brother Mike, who's the head trainer for Vibravision for North and South America, trained by the royal heirs, he actually lived with them and learned directly from them. Tell me a story. How have you used this in your life? So everything from, say, one of our blind students, one of the most renowned blind adventurers in the world named Mike Armstrong, being able to go into his garage and if he dropped a screw, which for blind people, for us, it's no problem. There's a screw, pick it up. If you're blind, the first thing that I'm sure goes through his head is, oh crap, I'm going to step on that later, or I'm going to have to find it all over my whole garage. Where did that screw go? And instead, to be able to scan and reach down with 2 fingers and pick up a screw off of your open garage floor, that's, I mean, as far as an impact in somebody's life, we may not look at that as a life changer, but if you're not able to see, that's huge. Other people, being able to sense other people's intentions and go and have that intuition to go in a direction that's not dangerous instead of down more dangerous. Don't go down that alley, go down that road, and avoiding conflict situations. That's happened to me several times where I'm just not, something feels wrong about a place, I leave and 2 minutes later, a fight breaks out. And oh, okay. The martial artist gets away from the fight. Interesting how that works. And so people use this in many different ways every single day. And that's part of their training is take this into your life, take this into the real world. Let's see, what can you do? We don't know everything that can be done. We're relying on you to tell us, oh, you can also do this. So tell me a story. And it's every week, new stories come in. Of people.
Are you hearing stories of, are you hearing stories also about, you know, their experience of consciousness changing, their spiritual life changing, the big picture kind of stuff, is that also being affected, or is it more about their ability to feel empowered and able in their daily lives?
Both. Both. It really depends. Since Merpati Bhuti and Vibravision, it's non-denominational and it's non-sectarian. So people's beliefs stay their beliefs unless they want to change them. We don't. There's no Rama Lama Ding Dong or woo-woo stuff about what we're doing. We try to be as scientific and methodical as possible in order to get the results. So some people have remote viewing experiences, other people have out-of-body experiences. I personally have had numerous astral projections during our meditations as well. And for a lot of our people, a much closer relationship to themselves and God, or their source, their light, their inner being. That is a part of our training, though, because if we want to understand what's happening within ourselves, you can't do that if you're numb to yourself. You have to know yourself inside. So internal meditation work is so pivotal to this skill and this ability. And that's one of the biggest benefits people get, is heightened intuition, better sense of self, better awareness of their organs and their body and their overall health. And we've had, and I can't quote, we don't make any medical claims, that's irresponsible, but there have been numerous people that have come to us with asthma, with cancer, with different serious physical things, that after they train with our breathing modality, those things no longer afflict them, and those are their experiences. So physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually, for those who are looking for it, this really enhances everything.
Wow. In terms of, go ahead, Sinead.
Oh no, I'm just saying, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. In terms of all this, I mean, it sort of goes off what you just talked about. What's your view of the world? Like, how do you think, like your nature, how's your sort of idea of reality changed? Because most people on the outside looking in are into the 3D nuts and bolts world. How has your world changed in terms of before you saw this system and what you've seen developed in the system, and maybe what's potential that can be done?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a pretty broad question there. Let me go ahead and the first part of it. How do I see this? As far as looking at the world in general, as far as 3D oriented, or they're looking at I'll take a page from Gary Zukav, the great and amazing Gary Zukav. The 5-sensory human, and then the multi-sensory human. We're here for a reason. We are here. This is a school. We're here to learn. Are we paying attention? That's up to each individual person. If they're paying attention or not and learning those lessons. So the 5 senses are wonderful because we get to feel warmth. We get to feel pain. We get to taste chocolate. I mean, let me say that again. We get to taste chocolate, for God's sake. I mean, what's better than chocolate? Which, if you're incorporeal, you can't taste chocolate, and I don't care. If you don't like chocolate, that's fine. Can I have yours, please? Now, we get this opportunity, but we're just a small piece of the energy that is the totality of us. So if we're able to recognize and understand more of our multidimensional and multisensory being, a whole new world of understanding opens up to us when we see things like disease, conflict, things that seem unfair. We see our own hardships and contrast and struggle in our life. We look at those things from a different point of view. And I'll be the first person to say, I go unconscious all the time and have to reel myself back in. I'm a human being having a human experience, but I'm also a spiritual being having a human experience too. So I have to 50,000 light year view. I wouldn't even say the 50,000 foot view. Let's universal, 50,000 light year view. What am I learning here? What is the point of what just happened and what comes next? So that's my personal feeling as far as I've had numerous out-of-body experiences. I've had a near-death experience in Indonesia during a test where I left and I chose to come back. I had that opportunity. Remote viewing experiences. Yes, these are non-local function, but they're still just the tip of the iceberg as far as what we're capable of doing on a larger sensory and awareness level. And for me, it gives me great hope with where science is going, where consciousness is going, where the general population is looking toward energy work. They're looking for energy healing. They're looking for meditation. They're looking for breath work. They're looking to go outside because there's something inside of us. It just, whether it's the age of Aquarius, I don't follow astrology, but whatever is happening as consciousness for humanity as a whole, we're starting to really broaden our horizons, and what was New Age is now starting to become much more mainstream. And as you look, you shall find. But if your head's in the sand the whole time, you're just going to see the dirt and you're going to see the blackness, and that's fine. There are people that is their lot in this life to do. That is their learning example. But for others, it's not. We're not all the same. And so Morpati is one modality. There are so many great meditation disciplines out there and breathwork disciplines out there, and it just warms my heart. It makes me really happy to see people wanting and knowing and understanding that they can do more, that they can be more, that this is not all that there is. And we won't even talk about the grays of the tall whites of the Pleiadians.
In terms of your future, you mentioned the neurologist coming in and working with you. What kind of plans do you have for the future? Because I see a great potential in yours, because that's my audience. My audience is sort of in the scientific world. They're in the woo-woo world. They're sort of, but they're always looking for the sort of the ultimate proof that will sort of confirm that this stuff is for real. So what are you planning to do in terms of people helping you? Because yours seems to be duplicatable. It's not like a psychic who's, you know, on and off and stuff like that, where you can actually sit these kids down, because that's what the CIA did in China. They sat these kids down and they went and said, you know, what's going on here, and they're trying to figure it out. So what kind of scientific proposals have you received, and what are you planning to do in terms of trying to verify this?
Oh, very good question. Grant, thank you so much for asking that. That's why it took 20 years for us to really unveil this. We tried to do like a paranormal challenge that didn't work out for people from Indonesia, and so we've really that's happened for a reason, so that we would take this time to, first of all, be ready professionally to be able to deliver this and not crumble. Second of all, to make sure that we could really get rock solid scientific proof where it's not anecdotal. We wanted empirical data. We wanted to make sure that it was reproducible and somebody could say, yeah, this is what's happening. I'll be first to admit, I'm not the smartest person in the room a lot of the time. But people who are, say, neurologists, neuroscientists, ophthalmologists, ophthalmic researchers, they're smarter than me, and I rely upon their knowledge to say, yeah, this is what's going on. And so our future plans, in a perfect world, Nobel Prize time, right? As far as looking at the larger picture, I would love to work with as many different scientific institutions as possible who could look at this and give us a greater understanding of what's happening energetically and neurologically, and how we can better do it. Because when it comes down to it, even if we had, 7 out of 10, I'm a perfectionist, self-admitted perfectionist. I want 9 out of 10. I want 10 out of 10. I want everybody to have this because I've seen what it can do. I've seen how much it can change people's lives. And with that in mind, I want everybody to experience that. So the further we can advance this for the mind community, the more we're going to be able to help society in general evolve into something much greater than where we're at, which is much greater than we were, say, 500 years ago.
Wow. I will do whatever I can to promote it. And I know there's a lot of people who are sort of like scientists on the leading edge who are aware of my work. And I think maybe one of the problems was that we didn't know, because I'd worked on this for 45 years. I didn't know about you until a couple of months ago, and I was just like blown away. And so it may just be the fact, because a lot of these people are working on all sorts of leading edge experiments and stuff like that. And I'm thinking like, why have they missed this? But I've missed it as well. So I'll do whatever I can, especially when you see these videos of these, especially the obstacle course and the kid with the cards and stuff like that, you're just going like, unbelievable stuff. That how would you not want to research this and look at this and check it out? Because I mean, the amount of material you can learn from this is astronomical. And to me, it just basically points out to me that we've got a lot of stuff wrong. That we're making a lot of assumptions which aren't right, and this basically shows it. So I mean, hopefully I can sort of help you get the word out, and I would definitely like to take your course so that I can get the inside, because to me, I'm not interested in, you know, being able to do all sorts of magical stuff, but I sure am interested in learning more about what you guys are doing, because I think it's it's Nobel Prize if it were a fair world in terms of what you're doing, because you have proved conclusively to me that there's something very serious that should be studied here.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know, everybody comes here for a different purpose of learning, and we're all still evolving, and that's a wonderful thing about life, about being here. But I really, for me personally, I feel like part of us being here is learning how much greater than what we see or what we hear, what we feel, taste or touch is possible. And however I can do that, but it's thank you so much, Grant, and thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm honored for this opportunity to be here with you guys. And for everybody who's out there, Vibravision.com is our website for immersions. But you know, there are a lot of people that don't want to take the training, but they would like to help advance the research, and that's Vibravision.org. We have a 501c3, so people can donate. They can donate to the scientific research and help blind people learn this, because that's I tell you, one of the most impactful things I have ever experienced in my whole life was having a blind student, one of our blind students who's been blind, completely blind for 10 years. And she started crying on the second day of her work day.
Wow.
Like this. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? She's like, I can see my arm. For the first time in 10 years, I can see my arms. And then we started holding up colored beanbags, and she was spot on with the colors of beanbags. And it was after a couple of days. So I just really look forward to a day when we as humans can see the things that we don't see, because we're all blind. As a mentor of mine, a friend of mine says, we're all blind until we know what we didn't know, or until we know now what we didn't know then. We're still blind. And that's one of the greatest things about humanity, is we're always opening a new door of insight to the world and to what it means to exist as consciousness.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nate, for what you're doing.
Thank you. I sure appreciate it. And I will send over all that contact information for everybody watching out there. Thank you so much for reaching out, and bless you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Nate. That was expressed so beautifully and explained so clearly. It's going to come across really well to the audience, and it was just great listening to this. I want to hear more, so we'll be in touch after this for sure. Thank you for being here.
I still look forward to it. And I know you've got to go, and I actually have a call with a prominent blind person who wants our training in 4 minutes. So
okay. Thank you. And I will be in touch, and I will redo the intro.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll send over that contact information and websites, and have a blessed day, guys.
You too.
Bye-bye.